Hey, cool kids. Welcome back into the Cool Grandpa podcast. This week, I have Cynthia and Kameron Haller sitting down to talk with me about their mission trip for their church to Ireland and Scotland. Now, if Cynthia's name sounds familiar, she authored a book called Live Life in Crescendo with her father, Stephen Covey. Now, this is a great book that I talked about in depth with Cynthia a couple of years ago, so we're not going to go into that so much during this conversation, but I've got a link into the show notes. In case you missed it, go back and check out that conversation. Before we get going, I want to remind you that I have a featured article in this quarter's Grand Magazine. Now, this article is all about grandparenting for Generation X. I want you to be sure to go and check that out. So I put a link into the show notes for this as well. But you could also just go to readgrand.com and sign up for their newsletter, as well as being able to view and read that article. Last thing I want to remind you guys of is I've got some great opportunities for gifts in the bookstore that I have. So I'll put a link to that directly into the show notes, but you could just go to cool-grandpa.com/shop, and that'll take you right to my bookstore so you can see all the sweatshirts, the hoodies, the mouse pads, all the things are right over there. So without further ado, let's jump into this conversation with Cynthia. Kameron, Cynthia, welcome to the Cool Grandpa podcast. I know, Cynthia, it's been a couple of years since we talked, and Kameron, I think this is the first time we've been on together.
It is. It's nice to meet you, Greg.
Well, thank you very much. Now, one of the things that we left off before, Cynthia, when we were talking about your book, Live Life in Crescendo, was that you guys were getting ready to head off to Scotland, I believe, to go do a mission for your church. How many kids and grandkids do you guys have? And then let's get into a little bit of what the factors were for you guys to go and serve a mission.
That's great.
Sounds good.
Well, shall I start?
Sure.
We have 6 kids and 26 going on 28 grandkids. We just had 2 announced last week.
We've been married 46 years.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome.
It's a big, wild family, but I'm the oldest of 9. He's got 7 in his family. We like big families. We're used to the chaos, so bring it on.
Well, I come from a large family myself, not quite as large, but there were 7 kids in our family. And when we threw the adults in, we could field a baseball team.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Wonderful.
We've got enough for 3 or 4 teams.
Oh, absolutely. I bet your family gatherings, you've got enough teams for basketball and baseball and all sorts of things.
We do.
We do. And it was a kind of a hard thing to leave. Everybody kept saying, how can you leave all your grandkids? It was a great thing too, because it kind of showed our priorities, we love our family, but we were just going for 18 months to serve a mission for our church, as we felt strongly about sharing the message with people. We were called to Scotland, Ireland, which was a dream. That's where we met, in Ireland.
We actually, to back up a little bit, we met when we were 21 years old. We had both volunteered to serve missions for our church, and we were both called to Ireland. So as I was leaving my 2-year mission, Cynthia came out, and we just briefly met. And when she got home, 15, 16 months later, we started dating, and the rest is history. But ever since then, we absolutely love Ireland and the Scotland area, and we've always wanted to go back and kind of recreate that mission and enjoy serving once again.
So that's awesome. And just so folks know, what is the church and what's the congregation or affiliation?
We're representatives of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we were called. We could have gone anywhere in the world. We did mention that we served there earlier. We just felt we had a good message to share. It's family oriented, Christ centered, and so even though it was hard to leave our kids, it kind of made a statement to them about what we value, and that we care a lot about the gospel and about living good and serving others. And you do it for free. We're not paid. We had to pay to go, and it ended up being kind of expensive, but it was the best money we spent.
And really, the overlying purpose of our mission was to invite people to come unto Christ. And there's wonderful Christian people in those countries of Ireland and Scotland. And our goal was just to invite people to draw closer to Christ and to Him, and take on His attributes and try to live a gospel-centered life.
One thing that I think a lot of people are going to think about when they hear Latter-day Saint missionaries or Mormon missionaries is typically young men riding around on bicycles. So did you guys get bicycles, and did you guys tour all over Scotland, or what did you guys do?
Not exactly. As senior missionaries is what they call us. Cynthia likes to call it super missionaries.
We rejected the senior label, and I said, you call us supers or we're not going. So super missionaries.
But as older missionaries, we had the opportunity to work with congregations within those countries, and also work with those younger missionaries that are out there riding the bikes and knocking on doors. And we did some of that, although the main purpose was to work with the local congregations, try to help them in terms of leadership and strengthening them. And we got very involved in a particular branch in Northern Ireland. That's where we were assigned, is in Northern Ireland. But we also got very close with the young missionaries. We would go to their meetings and would have them over for dinners. We would teach with them. We would go out on the street contacting with them. And
we had a car, which was, they liked to be with us.
So we did a lot of the things they do, but really, the energy they bring was just amazing. It was neat to get to know a lot of the young missionaries and become closer to them.
Okay. It sounds interesting. So let's step back just a little bit, and can you guys tell us the decision process or how you landed on wanting to go do this again? Because you said you've got 26 grandchildren,
right?
22 on the way,
going on 28. Yeah.
So how did you guys arrive at the decision that you were going to step away from them for 18 months and go somewhere else?
Well, part of it is what we described, is because we had a strong faith and belief in what we were doing. But the second part was, I wrote my dad's last big idea about living life in Crescendo, which means that as you grow older, instead of shrinking in your influence and in your desire to serve and to learn and do all those things, that you expand it. And Crescendo to us, besides having a strong desire to serve, because we did it before, we wanted to share our message, we wanted to push ourselves a little. We wanted to go outside our comfort zone. And we noticed that people, when they retire, sometimes if they don't have a project, they don't have a passion or a love for something or a cause, something that's important to them, that you can go downhill. My dad always said, if you retire and you don't have anything else, you're going to die. You've got to have another purpose and something that gets you up in the morning to bring about some good. And so we decided this is something we want to do. And we felt like it was great for our relationship. It was kind of you and I against the world. When you first get married, you're just like the two of you. And we left the kids, we left our friends, we left all, everything. And it was kind of a simple life. It was really fun just to be together and have an adventure. And it kind of pushed us outside our comfort zone. We felt like we were trying to live in Crescendo doing it, didn't we?
But also, having been in Ireland when we were younger, we knew how beautiful the country was, how wonderful the people are, how kind they are, and outgoing and nice. And so we looked at it as not only a mission to serve the purposes we've spoke of, but it was an adventure. It was exciting for us to go back and to see some of the people we knew 40 years ago, and to reacquaint ourselves with them, and also to meet new people. So it required, as Cynthia said, we paid for it ourselves. So it required that we be retired, and once we were pretty determined that that's what we wanted to do. Even though you're right, Greg, it was very hard to leave grandchildren and our children. And there's so many events, there's football games and baseball, and there's concerts and choirs and everything. And that was difficult. But the overriding purpose of our mission just gave us that energy that we're doing the right thing. We're setting a good example for volunteer work for our children and our grandchildren. And hopefully they'll feed off of that and become volunteers themselves in one way or another.
In fact, one of our oldest granddaughter decided while we were on our mission that she decided she wanted to serve also. She just said, you guys have inspired me. If you can do it at your age and you feel like it's important, and you would share stories about people whose life were changed because of coming into Christ, and to, being able to have some joy and purpose in their life because of this, that it inspired her. But you didn't tell the real reason we went, honey.
Why?
I'd always tease him that the real reason is to get out from tending the grandkids every day.
Yeah. Sometimes that free babysitting can wear on you a little bit, but
they missed it. I like it more than he does. He enjoys it, but I really like it. But he said, this is great. A year and a half, and we're not babysitting.
Yeah, you probably know exactly where the TV remote is. It's the last place you put it, not under cushions or in a strange place somewhere else in the house.
It actually happened lots of
right.
times. We had one granddaughter that loved to find the remote, and we'd look for hours after she left it.
And every time she came, she thought it was funny to hide it. She was only like 3 or 4.
And she couldn't remember where she hid it.
Oh my goodness!
Right? Yeah. No, they all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm going to put Grandma and Grandpa on a scavenger hunt. So let me talk a little bit. I've got your book. I'm also happy to say my mom has read your book and she loved it.
Awesome.
A lot of times I think when we think about getting to retirement age when we're older and living life in Crescendo, sometimes that can mean I'm finally going to write that book. I'm finally going to do some of these things where I might mentor young people in business. I might do something else. How do you feel that service really falls into place with that living in Crescendo?
Well, I'll jump in. I think Crescendo can take so many directions, and service is one of the key ones. That if you're serving other people, then you're blessing other people's lives and you're having an influence and you're widening your circle of influence for so many people. So service is instrumental. I think that's probably the primary reason of living a life in Crescendo.
You're happier. You're happier when you live outside yourself. So Martin Luther King said the main question we should ask each other is, what are you doing for others? And you're happier when you're not focused on your own problems. You're helping those that maybe are less fortunate than you, or that you feel like you have something to add to their life. And it's a great experience.
But I think it also takes the direction of, it doesn't just have to be service. It can be another project that you have. It can be mentoring someone. It can be starting a company, flipping a house, doing something that you've always wanted to do. The key is that you have a mentality that your most important work is always ahead of you. And if you have that mentality, you're constantly searching, you're constantly working towards that thing that's most important for you, rather than just, watching television or golfing all day, or which is a wonderful thing too, but it's may not be Crescendo.
Yeah.
But it's just a mentality that you develop, that you're constantly looking to do something, and primarily in service.
And Greg, that was one of the main reasons my father wrote this, conceived of this idea, and that we talked about it and shared it, started writing it together, is that people lose sight of your most important work is always ahead of you, no matter where you are in life. I mean, what if someone gets divorced and really struggling in their family? Is that the end of their life and their happiness? You can curl up in a ball and decide, I'm done. Why did he do this to me? Or what happened? Where did I go wrong? Or you can just decide, I still have important things to contribute. I'm not done. And this is awful. This happened to me. Or if someone passes away, or someone gets sick or something, that you just think, okay, this is my reality, and am I going to live in crescendo, keep growing, keep learning, changing, expanding, or am I going to live in diminuendo, which is another musical term meaning, am I going to slow down and eventually stop and quit? And sadly, there are people that choose that, but we've been inspired by so many examples of people, and there's a lot in the book of people who have lived in crescendo despite their circumstances, despite life-changing events, despite getting older. And like your mother, maybe hopefully that gave her an idea of, I'm a matriarch of a big family. I'm talented in this area. I can lend myself to the Payne family, and I still have important work ahead, even though I'm, 70, 80s, 90s, whatever she is. And hopefully that gives hope to people. That's the idea, that you have hope that your best work and contributions are still ahead of you, not in the rearview mirror, not past you, not behind you, I meant.
Well, and I love that, because I think too, sometimes we need to have that older person, or that sage, if you will, have an input to us, a voice that maybe we can't accept from our peers or people younger, but somebody that has more life experience that can come by and talk to us in a way that really connects with us. And I feel like sometimes that's where maybe older people, we feel like, oh, I've got nothing to say. But at the same time, there's people that are hungry for some guidance, and not being told what to do, but being counseled, if that makes sense.
Yeah, understanding the wisdom of people that are older than us and what they can bring to us, because there is so much that they do bring to us.
Well, my father always believed that as you get older, your circle of influence should expand rather than diminish. It should get broader. You've got more time, if you're not working, to get to know more people, to contribute more. And just two examples I'm thinking of. One of them, I just went to lunch with a friend whose husband has Parkinson's, and it's hard. He's kind of some days he can't. It's hard to get out of bed and hard to move and do things. And he started something called Dance Back, where he believes that dancing and movement can really help Parkinson's and help him move and stay flexible and going. And so he introduces that to people, and other people that have Parkinson's. He gets a lot of satisfaction out of teaching a class where they'll come and move with him. And one lady said, "It's the first time I've been able to. I love coming to your class." He said, "For the first time in years, I can get down on my knees and say a prayer and then get back up." He said, "I couldn't do that for a couple of years, and because I've been moving, that's helped me." And then I also read today, someone actually sent me an email saying, "I thought you'd be interested in this." That some women started a grandmother's club. It sounds like your cool podcast, your cool grandpa podcast, which I've got to say, you're living in crescendo yourself. That's an example of, I don't know what your career was before, but you're contributing, you're expanding and taking this on. But these grandmothers decided, we have something to offer. We're school teachers, and it's called the Friendship Bench. And it started back east, where they have certain benches around the city. I think it was Washington, D.C., and they go and sit there, and it's known that somebody who is having a problem or down or needs a boost, needs a mentor, comes and sits with them. And they don't judge them. They basically listen to them talk and be a friend and a help. But what a cool thing to do, to get up in the morning and think, okay, I'm going to sit on the friendship bench, meet some new people, and hopefully inspire someone to keep going, or just help them feel understood as a person, make them feel good about themselves again.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Can you guys share with me a story of where you expanded your network through your mission, but then also an example of how you were able to connect or help somebody while you were out serving?
Expand our network.
Yeah, let me jump back to, we've actually been on missions back to back.
Okay.
And the first one was what's called My Hometown Initiative, and it's going into a part of the valley that
In Salt Lake.
in Salt Lake that you build up that maybe needs help putting up fences, maybe fixing a carport or getting a car running, all those physical things. And the other part was a resource center where people could come to a resource center and learn to play the piano or learn to speak English or get legal help with immigration issues, lots of different resources. And so in that regard, of going, in particular, we worked in the resource center and we met so many people that we didn't know. And we feel like we expanded and came away with great friends from this resource center, as well as the volunteers. There were probably 200 volunteers maybe. And
Wow.
of those
Across the
volunteers,
valley, yeah.
we maybe knew 6 of them, but by the end we knew a ton of them. So you just expand your network, and it's an opportunity to bless the lives of other people, maybe in areas that could use your help. So that would be one.
And in Ireland, surprisingly, in this little town of Oma in Northern Ireland, there was a community of Filipinos. They have really hard lives. They left their families, most of them, to come and make a better income in Ireland. And the idea was to work for a meat packaging plant, and they would sponsor them to come, help them find accommodations, give them a ride to work, pay them 5 or 6 times more that they could make, maybe 10 times more than in the Philippines. And they'd save money for a couple of years and then bring their families over. And we'd never known Filipino people. They're the friendliest, nicest, most generous, kind-hearted people ever. They didn't have much. They'd invite us to their home. We'd be eating this Filipino food. Heaven knows what it was in it. But most of it was really good. And they were, I don't know, it just expanded our cultural, limits. We hadn't known Filipinos, and they're hardworking, loving, caring people. And then we tried to support them in what they were doing, and in regards to our ward, our community church there and the congregation, and help them a little bit with some employment, or with not employment, but with other things they were doing, housing or different things. And anyway, it was we didn't expect that, did we? We dealt with Ireland's like a melting pot now, and Scotland too. And so talk about exposure to things that we never would have had here, and growing to know different people and to love and accept them. That was incredible. That was the side benefit.
Well, and one other example is we met a couple in Oma, Northern Ireland, from Romania. And language was quite a barrier in sharing lessons with them and talking with them and so forth. And so our daughter had served and volunteered a mission in Romania. So we called her, and she said, we said, can you help us? We're having a hard time sharing the lessons with them. And she said, well, it's been over 20 years, so my Romanian's not so great, but I'll contact a friend in Romania that she taught. And so through that network, we were able to teach this Romanian couple, and we taught them all the lessons and so forth in Romanian, and got to be really close friends with them and integrating them into the branch. This was a couple that didn't have any friends in Ireland. They kind of lived a very quiet life, didn't know many people. And we integrated that couple into the congregation of about 35, 40 people. And now they go for dance night. They go to church and worship with the congregation. They go to ping pong and pizza night. It is so fulfilling to see how they have been embraced by this congregation. And now they have so many friends. So it's just kind of a networking of our daughter who knew someone in Romania who helped teach and integrate them and see their lives blessed that way.
Oh, that's amazing. Could you guys, did you happen to work with any other, whether it was churches or service organizations that you had in contact with in the Valley or in Northern Ireland that may have also been super volunteers?
We did.
Yeah.
We served in a what would you call it here? What did they call it?
I don't know.
You know,
With
where we sorted clothes. And
oh yeah, we worked at a charity shop. It's like a
it's a Catholic Church sponsored charity shop.
Yeah,
and they're really
it was St. Vincent's.
St. Vincent's.
Yeah,
they're really popular in Ireland. People do a lot of their shopping there, and
thrift stores.
And so we went there, and they had volunteers from the Catholic Church, and we all worked together, and that was fun getting to know them as well.
Yeah, at first they you're Americans and you're Mormon, they didn't know about our church. They didn't even know we were Christian. We start talking, we make friends, and after 3 or 4 weeks, I mean, we were good friends. We'd see each other on the street, and they kind of understood us more. One of them came to one of our activities that we had at our church just as a friend, and it was wonderful. We also started, this is kind of our claim to fame there, we started pickleball in Northern Ireland, in Oma. We went into they call them leisure centers, which is like
a recreation
center. And so we had these centers, and I'm obsessed with pickleball. He likes it, but I played a lot before I left, and so I said, "You guys have pickleball?" And they're like, "Pickle what?" They didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, Google it. It's the fastest growing sport in America, and it's coming across Europe. It's really fun. So after a little prodding and 3 or 4 months of asking to look into it,
Cynthia was so persistent in getting pickleball equipment.
They finally said, we ordered pickleball. And so we they set it up. We kind of showed them how to play. By the time we left, they had big posters that says, join this great new sport, pickleball. And the manager took us to lunch and said, I'm paying for the lunch. You guys fill our courts with pickleball people. We've got a lineup. People want to play. And
we even had the Belfast chapter of BBC come and interview us.
Yeah.
And so very cool.
They wanted to know all about pickleball and
why we're here, and it gave us a chance to explain what we service oriented, what we were doing for our mission, and it was just a good way to connect besides just through religion, and it was just fun, and we would go every other Friday with our congregation, and we'd say invite all your friends, invite anyone who wants to come. At one point we had 41 turn up, so we had 2 or 3 courts, and we'd take turns rotating in. So by the end, you're friends with everybody on the court. Pickleball is really social, and you move around, and it was a great mixer. And I don't know, it just expanded. We just found it expanded our circle of influence so much, and we learned so much from other people, and we came away with great friendships that we still keep in contact. We wouldn't have had that opportunity if we would have, not decided to go. And like he was saying, you don't have to do something big like that. You can look across the street and see your shut-in neighbor whose yard is yellowing and can't take care of it, and go and mow the lawn and be a friend, or like start a friendship bench, or go to your food bank, or do anything just to connect with people and try to help them in their life, and it just expands your circle of influence so much.
Oh, that's awesome. And a question I've got for you is, as people are starting to get older, let's say you're starting to get towards the end of careers, that sort of thing, how would you suggest people start to think about whether they go and volunteer, let's say Peace Corps or an NGO, or even if their faith does mission trips? How do you suggest people start to investigate if that's a way for them to go and serve?
Yeah, I would say just reach out to those organizations and see what their needs are, and then match your strengths with their needs. They have so many needs, and you can just figure out. I have an aunt, she's passed away now, but she was really good at knitting slippers. And my daughter was in an orphanage over in Romania, serving there, the same one that served a mission later. But she was in an orphanage saying these poor babies and poor small children, they don't have clothes, they don't have shoes and socks. And so my aunt, I think she knitted something like 250 pairs of slippers. Wool slippers for these children, and
Shannon took them.
And she took them over and gave them So whatever your strengths are, whatever you've been blessed with that you can pass on and share with other people. But really, I think a good starting point is to call, to research, to find out what their needs are, and then how you could fulfill those needs.
And to think about, what am I passionate about? What do I care about? Another example, and this is in the book, about is that an older lady moved from Texas to Utah to kind of spoil her grandkids, and settled in a community that had a low literacy rate. And so she thought, this is ridiculous. Even some adults can't read or read well. And she went to the library and begged the city, give me one little room to mentor, to start teaching. And here she's like 85, and she's passed away now, but it's still going. I mean, I think it's a couple thousand people have been through her literacy program, and she was good at that. But people think, oh, I don't have a lot of money, I don't have any talents, maybe I'm too old or too tired, or I don't have anything to contribute. You have more than you think. If you feel strongly about, the homeless, or about, a blighted area in your community, or just people who are lonely, that's the starting point. And like you said, then you think, okay, I'm going to connect my strength with what I can do. And just a little bit, just like Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed 100 people, just feed one. And, she said, you can't do great things, but you can do small things with great love. And it's true. You just have to start. And then it becomes a domino effect. And I can't tell you how many people, just from doing one little thing, it's dominoed and blessed other people's lives. And then they pay it forward too. So you can make an incredible difference.
And it could be super simple. As we pass homeless people on the streets in Salt Lake, Cynthia would say, do you have some money? Do you have some money? And I don't carry cash. I just work off credit cards. So I would say, I'm sorry, I don't have any money to give them. And so what she does now is she puts protein bars in our cars. And so the side pockets are all full of protein bars. And when we pass one or on a corner, we'll say, we're sorry, we don't have any cash, but would you like a protein bar? And they seem to be thrilled with something that little. And that's just a small gesture, but it's thinking of others that she's really good at. So,
well, something small, but another woman, she was at a program, and a homeless advocate was talking about how you could make a difference, and just one person could make a difference. And she raises her hand and said, I'm 85, I have a fixed income, I can't get out a lot, how could I make a difference to someone? And she said, could you donate one can of soup a week? And she said, yes. She said, imagine that single mother with little kids warming up that can of soup at night. Do you think that would make a difference to that family? And she said, yes, it would. And she decided, that's what I'm going to do. Every week she donated a can of soup. And within a year or so, a couple of years, she'd had hundreds of meals for families, and something so small, but yet she just to start and do what you can. Theodore Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have where you are. That's pretty succinct.
Oh, I love that. And I want to circle back a little bit too, in terms of we heard about the granddaughter that was inspired with you guys going on a mission. What has been some of the other feedback or impressions, whatever you want to use the word, from the other grandchildren when you were gone and then when you've been back in their lives?
I would say it's uniform. It's they all want to serve. They all want to volunteer in one way. We had one family, we invited our children to all come over, but we didn't expect our grandchildren to come. And one family brought their 6 children. And we had such a good time. We said, Ireland's really not for kids. It's more scenery yeah. and driving. But they decided they wanted to bring them. So by the end, to a child, they all said, our little 4-year-old said, I want to serve in Ireland. He just loved it. He loved chasing the sheep and doing that. So they were all very supportive of us to go. And I think our relationship's
Yeah.
even stronger now that we're home, and they appreciate us a little bit more, having us
I
gone
was going to say that.
for a year and a half.
Besides that, family meant a lot more to them. They had to take our place to have events and to have, so they had more appreciation for us. Our relationships were stronger. We had to really communicate on the phone to see each other or FaceTime. I don't know. I think it was good for them in a lot of ways.
And one of the things we did while we were out there is we had a text thread called the Grands, which was really the older grandchildren from about 10 up to 18.
Those that had
and
phones, 12.
We would stay in constant contact with them, and we'd send them, spiritual talks or spiritual thoughts or a scripture
or fun things
or something like that. Yeah, fun things of what we had been doing. And they communicated right back. So it really strengthened our relationship, I think.
And that was without the parents on there. So we'd say, what do you do? Here's what we're looking at right now. And we'd show them all these sheep, sheep in this beautiful pasture. And then they'd send, here's where I am, at a football game or what I'm doing. And they would open up more with us because their parents weren't on the thread and had a little more communication with us than they normally would, just because it was kind of cool to be on this thread with just the older grandkids. It really got us a lot closer to them.
Oh, that's wonderful. What do you think of the idea, and you guys did this through your mission, but having that example versus grandma and grandpa telling kids, oh, you should go do this service activity. Oh, you should go do this, versus that example?
I think that was huge, don't you? I mean, I think that just them, we didn't really preach at them so much as we shared what we were doing. We talked about different people we met that were needed help either spiritually or physically. Helping. We went and helped one single mom whose husband died, who had like 6 or 7 kids and was really struggling. We'd go over and clean her house with some other missionaries and just bring them some food and do some things. We would just kind of share what we were doing. And I think that spoke volumes more than saying, you need to serve a mission or you need to do this and that. It kind of sharing what we were doing and letting them see the consequences of that, the joy that it brought people, and how much joy it brought us. How we would say, oh, shoot, we hate missing your games or your graduation or whatever we're at. We would FaceTime, and so we try to get a part of it. But we really, today we fed, 75 missionaries for Thanksgiving dinner. We had kind of a mock Thanksgiving dinner in Belfast where these kids were, the young missionaries that were homesick. It's Thanksgiving. And they got together as a big group. Everyone had the day off, and we supers, there were a couple other super missionaries, made them dinner and played games, played pickleball, did some fun things, and had a great time. And we'd tell them about it, and our kids would say, "That's so fun! Tell us what you did." And
I might add that it was one thing to share what we were doing; it was another for them to see what we were doing.
Yeah.
When you're on a mission, you're kind of out there. It's no longer just you. It's you have to be outgoing and inviting and engaging, and for them to see I think that was really important for them, that it's not just going out there and here's what we're doing, these 3 or 4 things, but they felt an engagement, an energy that maybe they wouldn't see at home, of serving other people and how it meant so much to other people. Watching that was really, I think, kind of key to their growth as well as ours.
Oh, that's awesome. And Kameron and Cynthia, as we start to wrap things up, is there anything about serving others or being of service to others as seniors that you want to share that maybe I haven't brought up?
I would say one important key is to get to know people, to understand them and what are their needs. If you don't get to know them, if you don't kind of go into their world, you'll never fully understand what you could do to help them. So to be engaging and outgoing and wanting to bless their lives, really, as you get to know them, you'll start to understand what you can do to do that.
And I would say to adopt, I mean, the crescendo mentality perspective, the paradigm that in this book, one of my father's most important lessons he taught that he got from his grandfather is that life is a mission, not a career. And we all have jobs and careers, and usually at a time that will end, but your mission will never end. Your desire to contribute to other people's lives should be a lifetime pursuit. And as you do that, it expands your comfort zone. It brings you happiness. It's that people, you bless others so they're happier and better off. And this perspective, it's like he used to explain it like a pair of glasses. It's what you put on, the crescendo mentality perspective. It's how you see the world. And that, okay, you've had a setback, you have a health issue, you have gone through a divorce, or you have a bad relationship with a grandchild or with somebody. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to live in crescendo or diminuendo? Ask yourself, how do I want this to end up? How do I see what my contributions in this next few years? Did I have the best time of my life when I was in my 50s? And that was the highlight. That was my best I've ever had. Or am I continuing to grow and to learn more and to contribute to others, so that your most important work is truly always ahead of you, not behind you? And that keeps you young. That keeps you, vital. We all make mistakes, but we believe in second chances and starting again. And this whole mentality is that every day you get up, you think, I have a choice of crescendo or diminuendo. What am I going to choose? And how will that impact me and others that I meet?
Well, and to add, I wouldn't underestimate the little things that you do for people. They are so grateful and they mean so much. And maybe it's not particularly what it is, but it's the thought that somebody cares about them, somebody loves them. Not everybody feels that they're loved and that they're cared for. And so when you do something, and we really saw this a lot in Northern Ireland, that when we did just little things like take cookies or something, it was the thought that somebody was thinking of them and cared about them. And that's so important.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, I love it. And Cynthia, where can people find a copy of the book? Where's the best place for them to order your book here?
Yeah, I think it's the least expensive on Amazon. You can get it pretty quick. There's paperback and hardcover, and it's also on audiobook. You can listen to my raspy voice there. But it was, for people who aren't familiar with this, it was my dad's last big idea that he felt passionately about, just as he did the 7 Habits have kind of made him famous. And in the book, I tell about how I once mistakenly said, Dad, are you going to do anything as good as 7 Habits? Is this like, your crescendo? Is this the best thing you've got? And he's like insulted. He's like, why do I get up? I mean, I wrote that in 1989. Do I have nothing left in me? I don't have any other things to contribute. What am I doing every day if I don't feel like I've got good work to contribute? And he was right. He wrote 4 or 5 other books that did well, and that he felt like I still have an impact to make. And this last book he wanted to get this out because people he would meet would say, when are you going to retire? You're in your mid 70s. You're going to retire soon. And he's like, why would I retire? I still am enjoying my work. I have a passion for it. I believe it's helping people. And so he really developed the idea that my best work is yet to come. And if you don't believe that, you don't have much purpose, and you go in diminuendo. And so it's just a mentality of that. Yeah, I still have a lot to contribute, and I'm going to be out there doing new things. It may be different. It may not be as great as you did before, but it's your most important work because it's ahead of you. And so I love that. So he asked me if I would. He was working on other books. This was, when he was in his 70s, and say, I've got so many other projects. How about if you take this material and get some stories and write it? And then after he passed away, it took me 10 years to finish, but I did it because I could feel him breathing down my neck. So anyway, it was a great experience to write it with him.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'll be sure to put a link into the show notes back to our conversation from a couple of years ago where we really focused in on that book. So,
Good.
Cameron, Cynthia, anything else that you want to bring up that maybe we didn't hit on that before we say goodbye?
We've about talked your ear off.
I don't think so. Just, you're amazing to have this podcast yourself and blessing lives of other people. So thank you.
This is an example. And you look like a young super too. You don't look, you don't use that other word. It's a mental thing. It keeps you young. But
it does. And right now I switched careers and I'm working with special education, little kids. And so I went from implementing corporate level enterprise software solutions to now I'm chasing first graders to fourth graders.
It's amazing.
And, but see what a great purpose instead of, okay, I'm retired. I'm going to sit on the couch or I'm going to go to Florida and just lay on the beach. I mean, look at the lives you're impacting and look like you're having a fun time too.
I have a good time. I got a good little class and I'm learning all sorts of things that I was not aware of. And the grandkids do that to us too, right? It's like, I had no idea about this thing. So
that's great. What a contribution.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Cool Grandpa podcast. I really have enjoyed this conversation, and I hope we get together again soon and talk more about living life in Crescendo.
Thank you. We have as well. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks for having us on your show. It's great. Great to talk.
I enjoyed this conversation with Cynthia and Cameron, and I really want to take this opportunity to remind you about living life in Crescendo. We heard one of the examples that Cynthia and Cameron gave us by going out and serving a mission for their church. So we can do something similar in that we could participate in different mission trips. It can also be to go out and just serve in your community, do the little things. As Cynthia gave us that great example of even giving a can a week to your food bank really builds up and really helps a lot of people in the long run. So I hope you got a lot out of this. I know I did. Remember to go check out readgrand.com for my article about Generation X grandparents. Also be sure to check out the link in the show notes to my first conversation with Cynthia. And until next time, remember to stay cool.